We said there were two ways, though, that we could change our state. One was to change our what now, nice and loud? Reality. Or the other is to change our focus. Change the way we're representing things to ourselves. Like picturing things in our head is one way we focus. Somebody doesn't show up on time, we picture in our head, I'll see why, because they're out there messing around, because they don't care about me, because this and this and this. Another way we focus is by what we say to ourselves. We represent, oh, well, they're not doing it probably because they don't really love me. And we talk to ourselves in certain ways. We get all these negative feelings. But if we change what we focus on, we change what we feel. If you think of something you're afraid of and you focus on it, will you feel it? You bet. If you wanted to feel depressed right now, how many could pull it off? No problem. How would you do it? You remember, don't you? A little reminder here. Just put yourself in a lousy physiology. Or, easily, another way you could do it, of course, mess up your biochemistry, eat in a way that drops your blood sugar through the floor. Or else could you pull it off? All you have to do is think of something that once happened that made you feel bad. Something from the past, and remember it again. That seems very intelligent, doesn't it? And feel bad about it once again. Over and over and over and over again. How many of your friends said, yeah, I'm going to this movie, I hate it, sucks, I'm going back there again. You go, how many times have you been to this movie? About 4,000. What would you probably ask them? Why would you go back there? Well, because I have to. Would you believe them? I don't believe you either when you tell me that. But I always believe in you because I know you know better. You don't need to go to those movies anymore. They're a bunch of myths anyway, made by poor directors. Lousy writers, lousy producers. You're a better producer, director, and writer now. You're probably even a better actor or actress. So why not create it the way you want it instead of seeing the same old movies over and over again? Most producers I know don't sit and watch their worst movies over and over and over again and feel bad about them again. The most of them do is they go, that was part of my learning experience. Time to move on. How else could you feel bad, by the way? You could do it currently, couldn't you? All you have to do is think of something you think you've lost that maybe hasn't even happened. Right? Or think of something that you want but you're not getting right now and feel bad about it. Or you could think of something that hasn't even happened yet and feel bad about it in advance. A coward dies 1,000 deaths. A courageous man or woman only once. Because a coward runs it through the head about 8 million times and feels like they died 8 billion times. If you have any faith, any courage, then if it really ever does happen, you'll just deal with it. Once. You feel the pain only one time instead of stacked over and over and over and over again. If you want to feel good, could you do that? Sure. Would a producer go back to some of their best movies and see them again, do you think? Yes or no? Would they even share some of those movies with their friends? You know what some people do? Some people actually take the worst movies of the past and go share them with their friends, their worst movies. Tell them all about all the gory details of it. And their friend goes, yeah, that's really great. Yeah. See, a real great producer director shows them their current films, shows them some examples of films that are about to come called previews. Previews are rather exciting usually. Or they show them the best films of their past and share those with them so that people get to enjoy more of their life. Maybe even learn something. Who knows? But you could remember something that once happened that was great, feel good about it. You could think of something right now that you could feel great about, or you could think of something that hasn't even happened yet and feel good about it in advance. What determines what you focus on, though, is one thing. The questions you ask yourself. The questions you ask yourself determine what you focus on in that moment. What questions you ask are usually controlled by your beliefs. Because you could ask any question, but unless you do it consciously, you'll just ask the same questions that are in alignment with your old beliefs, your old BS belief systems. So the bottom line is we've got to ask better questions. And I will tell you the question I want you to learn to ask the next time you get upset with someone. This is the first question I would ask myself if I were you. What else could this mean? What else could this mean? I will know a person is intelligent when I say this and this happened. I started to get upset, then I thought to myself, well, what else could this mean? You know, maybe it doesn't mean what I think it means. Maybe they weren't really being harsh. Maybe what it means is they're stressed. Maybe what I'm hearing from this person about what they said about me is not true. Maybe what it really is a distortion. Not that they mean to distort, but it's a distortion. Maybe what I've heard this person said about me is a deletion. Maybe this person is generalizing. Maybe this person heard it through somebody else. Maybe that person misinterpreted what I said. Maybe this whole thing isn't accurate. Maybe it's accurate, but they're stressed. Maybe I'm just stressed right now. Maybe what this really means is I'm stressed and I need to get more resourceful and be more loving. And I can handle this. Maybe what this means is it's a chance for me to go to the next level. What else could this mean? You're only upset when you've decided on a meaning that creates an upset. So if you're feeling upset, what else could this mean? Because again, how many of you have ever thought something meant something and been upset about it later on and found you were wrong? How many have done this? So wouldn't it be smart as a first step to always ask, what else could this mean? And search for other possibilities. See, with my friends, I always do this. If I care about somebody, I always do this. And What I've learned to do is even with people I didn't so much care about or didn't even know. What else could this mean? See, that makes your whole life open up and expand. See, once you think you know what everything means, you're in deep trouble. Because when you're a kid, you know what happened? You used to have this big giant doorway. But then you became an adult. You noticed the door. You started saying, I know how this door works. And you closed it a little bit. You said, I know how the world is. And you closed it more. I know the world is. And pretty soon, now you know how the world is. You absolutely know how the world is. See, when you're a kid, you didn't know how the world was. It was just amazing how big the world was. It was amazing how much wonder there was in the world. How much you could learn, how much you could grow, how stimulated you were. You were stimulated by all kinds of things because you didn't know for sure what everything was. You're always curious about what things were. But as an adult, you now know what everything is. And if it doesn't fit in there, it's wrong. About this? No, I don't know everything I know about this. I mean, there's all kinds of things could be going on. I don't know. Opens your world again. We're going to teach you to do this in a format that makes sense. Now, the thing that happens, though, if we want to be able to really take control of our meaning is we got to pay attention to our emotions. So in your notes, write down emotions. Under emotions, in fact, you might want to write the word negative emotions. Negative emotions. Negative emotions. And then as soon as you write it down, cross it out. The word negative, anyway. What are some of your negative emotions? Tell me what they are. Fear, what else? Pardon me? Hate, what else? Anger, what else? Guilt, what else? Worry, what else? Upset, guilt, what else? Frustration. I got a question for you. Are they really negative? I'm here to tell you there's no way they're negative. Every emotion you've ever had in your life serves a purpose. The reason it's negative is you've been calling it negative instead of getting the message it's been trying to give you. Every emotion you have, including those you think of as negative, those ones you call negative emotions, I call them emotional messages. I also call them calls to action. All those negative emotions, as you used to label them, are really a call to action. Fear is a call to action. By the way, do you feel that call to action in your body when you're afraid? Yes or no? Does your adrenaline start pumping? Your whole system start gearing up? Emotions are a call to action. And the call to action says one of two things has to happen in that call to action. It's a message. Every emotion is a message. A call to action. And the action and the message it's trying to give you is that you need to change either, number one, your perception of this, or number two, your current actions. Every negative emotion you've ever felt is not negative. Now, you may be overusing them, I'll agree with you. You may be indulging in them, I agree with you. You may not be getting the message from them. What's making it negative is you're not getting the message it's trying to give you. But every emotion, fear, frustration, hate, anger, guilt, all of those emotions are here to serve you if you get quick the message. What most of us do is we just indulge in the emotion. So we never get the message, and that's why it's negative, because it starts screwing up your body, because what it is a signal to act, and you're not acting. That's why you feel sick to your stomach. You're not acting. You just keep on indulging the emotion, not hearing the message. So the message is always, you must change something. Negative emotions are saying you got to change something. Either change the way you're perceiving this, change the meaning you link to this, change your perception, change your focus, or change your actions. Change what you're doing because it isn't working. That's why you're having that emotion. Don't make your emotions wrong. Appreciate them. Be grateful for them, but immediately then ask yourself, hey, what's the message that my emotion's trying to give me here? What do I need to change? My perception or my actions? Does this make sense? Yes, no? So then, how do we make use of it? Well, first of all, notice this. How do most of us deal with our emotions? Well, most of us deal with our emotions by suppressing them. In fact, before you write that down, actually, I put over here 4 ways to deal with emotions. 4 ways to deal with emotions. I think the number one way most people deal with their emotions is they try to avoid them. By the way, how effective is that? No. You might do it for a moment or two, but most people, they just try to avoid feeling. Isn't that true? People who don't like to feel negative feelings are so afraid of negative feelings, they try not to feel any feelings. Now, if you don't feel any feelings, you really are going to have some pain. Because that's what life is for. Part of the juice of life is expressing and feeling. But sometimes people have so much pain, they say, I don't want to feel anything. never works, because eventually it comes out anyway. And then you feel bad about never having felt bad. You feel bad about the fact you didn't feel good. You have a sense of loss because you didn't feel things. Second way people try and deal with their emotions is they endure them. They're going to grunt it out. I'm going to endure these. I'm going to make it through this. I'll hang on to this. And again, this doesn't work. Now they may try and disassociate after a while here again, or they may try and suppress the emotion. I'll just endure it. I'll just keep pushing it down and I'll make it through it. I'll just endure it. That doesn't make it better either. Third way, what some people do, I don't know if you've ever seen this happen. I'm sure you've never done this. People compete to see who feels the worst. Some people do is they keep track of their emotions so they can share them with other people and compete. So somebody says, oh man, I feel like hell. Oh, you feel like hell. Let me tell you how I feel. You think you got a problem. Let me tell you my problem. You think you got the biggest problem. Check out my problem. It stands out to here. And people sit there and try and argue about who's got the worst problem. Right? Or the fourth thing that I don't have up there that I'd say, the fourth thing that people do is try and share their pain. Share their problem. They think, oh, I can get rid of my emotion by sharing it with others. So they try and get other people to feel bad too. That way we'll be friends. We can share in the pain together. We must love each other. Are these very intelligent ways to deal with your emotions, yes or no? No, you don't want to avoid them. You don't want to endure them. You don't want to compete for who's got the biggest and worst emotion. Try and make yours worse than somebody else's. You don't want to share them. Make them feel bad too. What a friend you are. Instead, what you want to do is step 5. Learn from them and utilize them. You want to learn from them and utilize them. Now, in order to learn from them and utilize them, in order to change an emotion, we have to change what something what's to us. Starts with an M. We have to change what something what? Means to us. When we change what something means, we transform our emotion. We have a transformation. Does that make sense? In other words, if I'm feeling really upset about something, I'm angry, angry, angry. Do I have to communicate that to get off my anger? No, not necessarily. I'm angry because of the meaning I linked up. What if I change what it means in my head and I realize, hey, that's not what it means? Then will I feel angry, yes or no? Yes or no? If I'm really angry about something, I'm angry because of what I've linked up to it. I'm saying, well, I'm angry because they did that and that means this. But if I really analyze it and I look at it for a while and I go, God, that's a bunch of crap. It doesn't really mean that. Then I transform my feeling. Do I now have to go to that person and say, what you did made me angry? Yep. Yes or no? No, because I don't have that feeling. I truly don't have it. I'm not suppressing it. I transformed it. Suppression, however, is when you keep the same meaning. That you keep the same meaning. You're upset about something and you keep the same meaning. You don't change the meaning. All you try and do is stuff the emotion. Try to pretend it's not there. That's suppression. So if you keep the same negative emotion, you don't change how you feel about it, you just try and pretend it's not there. That's suppression, and that's when you get in trouble. So our goal is not just to take things and not suppress them and just express whatever we feel, because if you just go express whatever you feel and you don't think it out, are you going to always communicate well, yes or no? No, in fact, you may say things later on you'll regret in the heat of the moment because you were in the state. So what you first want to do is see if you can transform it, honestly and sincerely, and if you can't, then your goal is to get someone to help you to transform it. Go to the source and get the source to help you to transform this. So you know what? I felt this way about this. I made up this bizarre meaning. I know it's not true because I know who you really are. But this is the kind of crap I did in my head. Can you help me? I need to change this. Can you give me some more information or some feedback or help me to clarify this thing? I kind of screwed this up in my brain because I know that's not what you meant. That's what I did inside my head. Can you help me out? Is that different?